Greetings, fellow ambassadors. Greetings, humans. Greetings, those that are here of planetary timelines, questioners, and all those that are gathered in this place to hear a communication, a message, something out of the ordinary. I am Ashtar. I am known as Ashtar of Ashtar Command. And the reason it is called Ashtar Command is that it was the command station or the command place was named after me after many battles, and they felt that I needed some recognition. Hence, Ashtar of Ashtar Command. But why are we here at this time? Why am I here at this moment? And perhaps it is a more definitive question to ask why we are not somewhere else. What is it that is in the flow or in the creative moment that has tuned us, programmed us to be at this particular moment? And I'm using certain words to highlight that we could have done something else if we so chose, if we so decided to be in a different timeline. And it's important that you understand this because your timeline, as of now, is being interacted with at a great energetic and, let's just call it, a quantum physical way. Because you have chosen to interact with me, speaking through this vessel, allowing my voice to communicate to you. You as the human, me as the galactic being, or as I like to call myself, a galactic human. You see, many thousands of eons of time, we don't have time in your understanding of time. We have space, we have the continuum, we have fractal. We have the knowledge that we can program our ships to be in this star system and then in the next star system in a moment. The linearity of Earth is indeed probably the only galaxy that uses time the way you do. It's sweet. Because it's how you expand. It's how you unfold your learnings, your experiences. Sure, amongst us we have many learned minds, mathematicians, the scientist type peoples, yes? You have those who have spent many of your earth years in study of the great definitive understandings of mathematical equations. And you've done this so that you can understand why we travel. Why we travel into your zone, and yet we don't physically always meet with you. Why is it that we show you an image, a portrayal of where we at, a slight light glimmer over here, but no, not always do we show you our physical tangible beings, our ships, our, as you like to call them, UFOs, yes? Why do we do this? Well, in many ways, we would say, and I want you to hear what I'm about to say, you do not give children dynamite to play with. And in many ways, humanity has been regressed into such a state that they are childlike with the knowledge that they've been given. All we have to do is look at what we've given, not we, the Ashtar Command, but what has been given to humanity, the governmental situations, and the damage that they have used thus far. Yes, the warfare, that the information that was given to them quite freely to begin with. But then they began to barter. They began to want more. They began to want more definitive this and more definitive that. They wanted to know how to time travel, how to access the stargates. They wanted to know how to bend this particular frame of time so that they could move through it, and yet everywhere else was quite normal in its timing. How did they tear a hole in space and time to transition through it without affecting anywhere else? And so this came at a price for humanity. And many of your governments, yes, mostly, let's just call it the Americas and what was the Prussia or is now Russia, all of these main governments, but your other governmental heads have come into collusion and agreement with many of the things that have been going on. You've often wondered, what is in the Antarctica? What is it that's drawing the people of the heads of state to this place? And why don't they go to the Antarctica? What is it about the southern hemisphere that's drawing them? And that's just because the southern hemisphere was not always covered in ice. What was covered deliberately to hide something from humanity. It was covered by Gaia, your Earth. It was covered in agreement with many of the Galactic Federation. Because there are stargates, there are cities, and there is instrumentational things, shall we just put it that way, that should not be on the surface of your planet. Why? Because you don't know how to use them. You did once. You did once. In Tata, you did. And not Tata, the food. Yes? The great nation. There was a time where your world knew free energy and abundance. You had buildings that absorbed the energy in various places. You had in the Americas, you had in the what is now known as your Russian state, you had in the Europe, you had even here in the Australia, and you recognize these buildings by the copper domes, by the spiral effects, and by the fact that the structures of the building are built in such a way that they are all similar in diagnostic pattern and architectural design. And this is so that they stored energy and could release it at a moment's notice. This free energy powered nations. In fact, it powered probably 3/4 of your planet. Right up until the First World War, of your Earth World War. Why do you think the world wars came into play? Because humanity decided that they didn't want to play fair anymore. This group decided it wanted to rule everything, didn't want freedom. And so began the many, many issues. If you do not trust my words, go and research in your CIA released documentation and you will find my words will have validation. But you see, what I want you to see here is this, that humanity has the power, has the knowledge and the understanding to create their own interplanetary craft. And it has been done. Yes, it has not always been done with the highest intent and the highest purpose, but it's been done. And it's been done in your timeline of the early 40s. to mid-40s of your timeline. But you see, because when it was created and it was used and it was tested by a spectrum of humanity, it was done incorrectly. They did not follow protocol. They did not follow certain ethical and universal rules and laws that needed to be in place for it to work correctly. And so this is where you have many, many anomalies, many stories that come through, and there is harm and there is great disruption to human life. knowing what we know of humanity now, because of the shutdown, shall we just call it the switch that was flipped to rewrite your history. And it wasn't us, the galactic, it wasn't us, the alien entities, it wasn't us, the outer round beings that rewrote your history, it was you. Humanity rewrote your history. You turned the page, so to speak, where you deliberately eliminated from memory free knowledge of free power, of free energy, and how to literally work and coexist within cultures. Do you know that the Mayans were very much alive and well? Very much alive and well. And had relationships with the Vikings. And had knowledge and interactions with the Prussians and those that lived on the steppes of Russia. Right up until probably, going back into what is the unwritten history of your history, probably up until the earliest of your 1900s, the last centuries. But you don't see that in your history books. But if you are ingenious enough to go and look on certain websites, you will find recorded for you to see scripts. You will see etched in Mayan etchings a Mayan rescuing somebody that does not look Mayan. Looks European. And they're rescuing it from a great flood. Interesting. Interesting that. Free energy was given to humanity not by strange beings from outside of the realm. It was given to you by yourselves, by sheer doggedness of learning how your system of galaxy worked, how your sentientness of this planet worked. Now, there's a lot that I could tell you in various means and ways of different things that occurred upon your planet, but that would take, in your linearity, about 3 or 4 hours of my communication, and I do not want to waste time. And I say waste because there is some information that is readily available if you search correctly. If you go and ask the right groups and the right people, they will have this already discovered. But you want to know, because of the desire of where you come from, in that which is the interplanetary connection of this planet, the species known as Earthlings, or humanoids, or Terrans, depending on where we refer to it, and those of the other cultures, the other species around, let us just call it in the skies, yes, the heavens. Why do we come? And I say we as a group we, yes, what you humans would call the royal we, yes? Why do we come? Why do we make contact? And in some cases it's absolutely out of this world, and in other cases it's terrifyingly, death-defyingly ugly. Why is there no happy medium? Why is it that you see lights but you don't see craft? Why is it that you see glints in the shadows of the clouds but you don't see craft? Why is it you see the imprint of a craft but you don't see the craft? And that's because, dear ones, to state the obvious, Earth is not ready to actually interact with us. You did interact with us at a great deal of communication, a great deal of trade in years and eons gone by. But right now, humanity is not ready. Yes, the one in the back there, the check shirt, yes, there's been many groups that have come and interacted with the planet. and there have been sightings and there have been experiences. And many people have reported positive things and many people have reported not so positive things over the times. And then there have been, shall we say, in Earth times, there has been gaps. But let me explain the gaps of our visitations, of the planetary experiencing a swathe of visitations or sightings and then a void. It's called orbital travel. It's called magnetic repulsion. Because what happens is, as we go through the different galaxies, as we travel from galaxy to galaxy, you must understand that which you refer to as the Milky Way or the Milky Way galaxy is but one in a billion trillion galaxies. And when we travel, we use the electromagnetic power in one place to charge the plasma and various fuel batteries, and I'm using language that you'll understand, to power our trips to the next place. We don't actually use batteries. We don't actually use plasma. We use energy. We use thought. We use telepathy. We use the power of ourselves to power our ships. That's technology, my friends, not wires and buttons and batteries. Technology is to be able to wave the wind, to wave in the space and project immediately from your mind into the space in front of you exactly what you're wanting the others to see the dimensions of what is the description that you are describing. If you are wanting to take an image in what you use now, these phones and other instruments that you use, what you do with technology, true technology, is you would just, it's in here already. A lot of you may or may not be aware, in fact, you probably are aware of that which is the pineal, the third eye, the gland within the center of the brain that joins both hemispheres. The eye of Horus, whichever name you wish to call it, yes? Why is it there? It is there because it is from this place you originally translated for yourselves the communications of your own DNA, that which was within the planetary vibration, atmosphere, magnetics, where you designed great designs of fabrications, of buildings, and planetary craft. You would say to me, but there's no craft on this planet that's been found. True, but there have been unexplained discoveries of cogs, of wheels, of navigational things that are not old enough to be unexplained, but not new enough to be of this realm. And so you say, well, where are they from? Well, you created them. It's evidence of your past. It's evidence of your dynamic past. There are those that will come upon this planet and will take you away and they will experiment on you. Why do they experiment on you? Well, in some ways it's due to the DNA in your bloodline. It's the DNA of your family line. And you will probably find, if you go far enough backwards, that this, if you are one that has been taken and experimented upon, and if you travel back, you will go to your father and your mother, and go to the father and the mother of the one side, and then the other side, and keep going back, you'll probably find that you are a result of somebody who has had either extreme redhead traits, blue eyes, or green eyes, or the dual eyes. You will have RH, you will have psychic abilities. All of these, and many, many others, too many to sort of go into at the moment, but we will always be bringing these things forward. This is very briefly. And you'll find that those people, in fact, you find most people who've been experimented on and their families who are experimented on are psychics are clairvoyants, are the people that are able to foretell things are going to happen. They have a secondary sense. They have a gut knowing. They're able to tell you things that have an uncanny way of coming true. They have abilities to heal. They have abilities to reach into what seems to be absolutely nothing and manifest. Things happen for them in a way that doesn't happen for anybody else. It's because for some reason in this genealogy, in this genome of being, there seems to be a direct connection to a point in history. Now, this doesn't mean, and I want to bring some clarity here, this does not mean that if you are not of the RH bloodline, that you are oblivious and in surplus to need, yes? Because there are some vital beings in the other groups. And I would like to say this. Be damn grateful that you may not be the ones taken for the experimental type, but you have the accessibility to the same energy and the same groups of connections, of healing, of sight, etc., that the others do. Now, you'd say, well, actually, that's a bit of a dichotomy. That's a bit of a contradiction then. Why aren't I taken? The RH has something in the bloodline and the actual chromosomes that the aliens that take them, they're searching for a particular pattern, a particular thing in this particular genome, and they will not stop until they find it. What they don't know, we've told them this in many multiple, shall we call it, conferences, for want of a better word, that it is non-existent. What they're looking for is non-existent. There are those humans who have reported back to counselors, to ourselves, to many others that they trust, that they feel as if the very soul of themselves has been sucked out of them through these experiences. And that is, in a nutshell, what the entities that are abducting you are searching for. It's not about your reproductive organs. It's not about your eggs or your sperm. It's about the DNA of the soul. It's the DNA of the eternal spark within each human. That's what they're searching for. Because in that is the answer of the creativity and the manifestation of many things. Now you may say, but surely every single being, every single species has an eternal spark. You would be correct. So what makes the human spark so unique? Well, that, my friends, I'm going to let you ponder upon. I'm not here to spoon feed you. You are intelligent beings. You're ambassadors. That's the first thing I said when I came through is you are ambassadors. Now, why would I call you ambassadors if I've never met you before? Strange question, that. Or is it? Could it be perhaps that on a higher level of consciousness that you know me? That we've met before? Perhaps not in this timeline. Might have been in a past timeline. Or it could be in a simultaneous timeline. Remember, time is subjective to where you believe it to be. Okay? You are unique individuals. And yet, for some reason, humanity has this belief that they are less than. Why? There is a part in you that if you can unlock it, could annihilate anything that came anywhere near you without permission. Annihilate. Where did that person go? Make light of it, but I'm being in many ways, deadly serious. The human species is the most complex and the most gloriously created being that's ever been in the spectrum of creation. When universe, God, power, whatever you want to call it, connected with the sentientness of this planet and created you from the dirt of this planet and the elements of this planet, understand it was a weapon that was being created. But you do not see yourselves as weapons. You see yourselves as slaves, as victims, as journeymen, as this, as that, but not as a weapon. Now let's get a little bit serious here, my friends. What is a weapon? Is a weapon something that you're going to use to destroy, or is it something that you put up around the barracks and say, excuse me, defense mechanism? Come any closer and the mechanism will be released. Is that not a difference? Do you not think Gaia knew what she was doing when she created humanity? Or was it just, let's just have some fun. Let's just create this little mud child here and just, let's see what happens afterwards, yes? No. When the original humans were created, they were created for a designed purpose. And part of that purpose was to interact at a cosmic level with the cosmic families already out there. Unfortunately, another cosmic rogue family discovered that this planet was abundant, overly abundant in gold, in copper, in silver. And because their planet was dying due to their atmospheric pressure and their atmosphere being completely annihilated by their irresponsibility, they raided this planet for her natural resources to heal their planet. And what happened in the interim is a big long story, and I won't get into it, but basically they overcame the Earthlings, the Terrans, as they were known originally, and then they became the Humans because they became servants to this particular species, and their genes were then embedded with the ruling species to create a slave race. Slave races all became intertwined with the original humans and the Terrans, and well, we have what is left today. Now, there is a large quotient of humans today that resonate, have a knowing, have this unshakable quality within them that says, you know what, I am not this, and this. I am of this planet. I am of the soil. We would call you Terrans. There are others that go, well, I know that I belong here on Earth, but I also feel that I am out there as well. We would call you humans. And it doesn't mean anything in a detrimental way, just as a grouping, yes? Your species is highly intelligent. And if you cannot come to the understanding that your intelligence is the key to undoing all of the damage and is the key to healing that and building up a unique and powerful ecosystem of this planet and an interactory symbiotic relationship with all of that which is awaiting for you in the goodness of all things and for the highest calling of the cosmic ascension, well then there's a lot for me to teach you, a lot for you all to learn, but I believe that you are understanding. Now, a lot of you understand that there are various levels of human understanding. There are groups which have lots of information about alien or extraterrestrial activity. Then there are groups that have a lot of understanding about the spiritual side. There's in-between groups that have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There is no one group that has all the answers. There is no one group. But there are groups that have the answer when you come together. This is the holistic way of being. It's a time of co-creating, a time of sharing, filling in the blanks. Because when you fill the blanks in, then you will find that the answers are readily available. You see, there is nothing that you cannot do. The stories that you hear and you put them to the side because, oh, that's just biblical claptrap. Well, then what about the Sumerians and the clay tablets of Sumeria, which tell of the stories of peoples coming together to build great cities, and they had one language, they had one vision, one thing was on their mind, and that was to build a great city that reached where? It reached the heavens. Why? Because they knew that if they could get from here to here in that interactory process, then they would be able to be interactory at a cosmic level. Except story tells it one way. Reality is that you were creating interplanetary communication. And at this particular time is when the interaction or the interference happened and humanity was subdued. Many have experiences with what we will, for the want and the use of today, I'm going to use good and bad, all right? But understand there is no such thing really as good and bad. It is just choices. It's just experience. So many of you have had experiences that are positive, experiences that have left you in bliss, experiences that have left you in great euphoric joy when you've interacted with alien beings. They've called themselves Palladians, they've called themselves Arcturians, they've called themselves whatever. But you've been left with this feeling, the sense of something great's happened. And yet when you've come down from that euphoric place of being, you've hit depression. Because you cannot reach that high again. Now, my question, dear human, is if it was such a good and euphoric state, why are you depressed now? You see, when you are in communication and interaction with a galactic being, with a ET, an extraterrestrial, whatever label that you wish to call us, it must be of equal status. Yes, you can feel excitement. Yes, you can feel this, oh my goodness, yes, this is happening. I can understand this. I can see the logic in this. Yes, I can understand what's going on there. But if you are taken out of yourself in the euphoricness, a high altitude mentally, and you are unable to truly function in a very sane way, I would say to you, beware. Probably being love bombed. Is that a bad thing? Well, yes and no. There are creatures out there, humans call them the mantis or the mandas, and they love bomb. It's just their resonance. When they come into touch with any other being, it's just this resonation of love. Oh, you're so wonderful. You're so beautiful. Isn't the Creator so awesome that He created you? And da-da-da-da-da. And it's just this love, love, love. But there is a rogue amount within them. As you get rogue amounts in any species, that's gone, yeah, this is really interesting. This species and this species react this way to us. This species and this species react this way to us. And this species, well, they just give over. They let us do anything. I wonder who that species is. Humans. You see, because human beings believe that they have no love, that they're unlovable, unlikable. And I'm making a blanket statement here because most humans, when it boils down to it, have an inability to believe that they personally are worthy of love. They can love others, they can give love away, but when somebody compliments them, when somebody tells them that they're worthy, when somebody tells them that they are actually a vitally important person in their life and their journey, in their family, they find it very difficult to take that compliment. They find it very difficult to accept that they can love themselves. Strange, but true. So when the madness comes along and they are just love bombing you, the human psyche cannot withstand it for very long. And what happens is you go on basically an LSD trip. Or for those of you who, you just get high. And in that heightened state, they ask you, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we take this? Can we implant this? Oh, yes, sure, fine. Wow, I'm feeling so loved. And you give away what you would not normally give away. Do you understand what I'm saying? When these occurrences happen, I want you to be very conscious. All right, I know that I'm great. I know that I'm wonderful, but that's enough. Set your space. Because you see, you're a weapon, and they know it, but you don't know it. And how do you activate your weapon? Do you know that planet Earth is the only planet that has the ability to say no? And I'll explain. We can all say no to this, that, and the next thing, yes? But as a planet, as a planetary observer, as a planetary being, as a planetary co-owner, if you decide that this shall not happen on this planet, in me or any other person, and you say no, it sets a vibration. It sets a standard. And what begins to happen then is it resonates outward. And it's heard in the vibration. And understand, vibration is a communication. It's a language that is understood at umpteen levels of communication. It's read by registers, by antennae, by taste. It's picked up at every resonance. And when the word no is given in authority, that is resonated back out to all that would hear. And what I would say to you all, because you all love UFOs, unidentified flying objects. They're not objects. They're ships. They're shuttles. They're interplanetary craft. And they're here mostly to observe. Observe what is happening in the learning of humanity. Where is humanity at this point? Have you reached back the stage that you were? Or are you still learning? Now, you don't have to be in exactly the same place of growth that you were before being subdued to be energetically, mentally, physically ready to connect today. Because today's mentality, today's readiness is different. You're in a different time zone, a different timeline. Every decision you make opens you up to a new timeline because you go down different paths. Like I said at the beginning, this was a choice that we all made to be here. You could have chosen to take a different doorway in your decision making, and you could have created a completely different timeline for yourself. But you're here, either bored out of your head or really interesting. Matters not. Remember, I'm energy. I'm not offended. Neither am I that invested. And why do I say that? Because my duty is to come and speak to you. My investment comes when I see those that want to reintegrate and begin to communicate at that level. Then I go, right, now I'm invested. I'm invested in you because I can see you want to invest in yourself. And that is where I will come into play in that which is the connection. And remember, there are various ways that we can connect to you. It doesn't always have to be physicality. We can telepathically communicate to you. We can holographically appear to you. And that means we can holographically put ships in your skies that you can see because we're communicating to you. But the person standing right next to you is not going to see the same holograph. Why? Because they're not on the same vibration. They're not on the same frequency that you're at. Does that make sense? When you connect with us, when you see through the veil, and I'm going to be very explicit here, when you are in between time and you actually physically see a being come towards you or bypass you or become aware that you are seeing it and it is seeing you, that is because you are in such a perfect place. You're in the sweet point where timelines cross in the dimensional travels. And you are literally seen through a corridor of time. And let me tell you, if there is an entity or a being or a extraterrestrial or an alien that does not want you to see them because they're actually spying on you and you do see them, they are in deep, what do you call it here on Earth? Shit? Yeah, very good. All right. So yes, they're in a lot of trouble because you've seen them. Once they are seen, they have to go back to what I suppose you would call boot camp to relearn how not to be seen. So believe me, when you see something, it's because you're good. You're damn good. Or it could just be accidental. You choose. What would you rather be? Seen something by accident? Or being attuned and practiced, sharp at what your gifting is? I think I'd choose the second, yeah? Now, I've given you a little bit of information. I've created for you 1,000 more questions. Good. Now go out and find the answers. And then when you're ready, call me back. And let's take it to the next level. If you're ready. I am Ashtar. And I thank you for your time, your linearity. Thank you for hearing me out. I give you thanks for your growth. I leave you now.